Hi, it's David Dillard from Sleep and Sinus Centers, and I thought we'd talk a little bit about allergies today, and thought we'd talk about pine allergies, which are a very common spring topic around my neighborhood. I grew up in Georgia, and you basically can pretty much expect to get a dusting of pine allergies in the spring that looks like it's snowed. This stuff heaps up in yellow little piles, and it's all over the place. And that is your signal that you're in the season when pine allergies are going to hit. And a lot of people are, have the itching, watering, sneezing, runny runny nose, watering eyes, problems that you see with that, puffiness around their eyes. It can trigger asthma and a few other things. And so I thought we'd talk about pine allergies, specifically white pine allergies today. White pine is basically fairly ubiquitous through the U.S., but is somewhat more heavily concentrated in the southeast. It typically pollinates during the spring. In some areas, it may pollinate twice, but it's much lighter pollen than the yellow pollen that you see all over the place, which in general doesn't have a whole lot of influence on the allergy portion of disease. It doesn't really get into people's respiratory systems too much because it's too heavy. White pine, which is named for the wood, is actually a lot lighter and floats, so it gets everywhere. And because it's so much smaller, and because it gets everywhere, it tends to cause us to be sensitive to it. Now, you can have sensitivity to some of the other elements of pine trees, and pine trees are come in a wide variety of different types and sizes, and so they're not necessarily all prone to causing allergy. The pine trees that produce pine nuts are becoming more popularly planted. People can be allergic to pine nuts. It's not the same allergy necessarily as the inhaled version, but you can pretty much expect in the early spring when you see that yellow that you're in the basic zone for pine allergies. Now, what you want to try and do is if you know you're allergic to that, or you are typically having problems in that time of the year, you want to try and do something to prevent it if you're having severe allergies, or particularly if you're having asthma. And that can be something as simple as a nasal steroid spray, knowing to stay on antihistamines, staying indoors, avoiding being outside, washing your clothes at night, changing the filters on your heating and air conditioning and your car. But in addition to that, you can do some other things to help prevent those kind of problems, including allergy shots or allergy drops if you're afraid of needles, and would like to avoid having to go to the doctor's office all the time. That may be an option for some people. And so there are some very nice options that are available to you. Now, having said that, you can also be allergic to pine nuts, and some people are actually allergic to the sap and can get hives and break out from that. So if you're constantly having nasal problems or asthma in a period of time when you're having a lot of pollen that's visible, that's yellow and all over the place, and you have a lot of pine trees in your place that you live, then you probably should investigate either doing some form of immunotherapy and discussing that with either your otolaryngologist or your allergist. So hopefully this is helpful, and we will talk to you soon.